And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. I feel like it's been forever since I've done a live, so I just want to make a quick live because there's a lot of stuff that's been going on lately. We have Rusty, TCA Gaming. He has his, PSA pack issue. I made a video talking about that. Sorry about that. We had my video where I resealed the packs. I showed you what I thought happened at PSA, and I think we have a little bit of a better understanding now of how they actually grade those packs. The next is we have Rattle's most recent video where he had an actual person on. Well, I wouldn't really call it had him on, but he had recorded a phone call with that guy talking about exactly how he resealed packs and what that could really mean for like the future. And I want to really talk about a lot of things he said. And then, man, there's some other stuff I want to touch on too. But I guess the first thing I want to do is I want to talk about Rattle's video. Because when you think about Rattle's video, when he had that guy on, I forget what Pokey Butler is his name, and he's pretty infamous, resealer. And he talked about resealing a few things. He talked about resealing packs, talked about resealing, booster boxes, but mainly the only booster box he talked about resealing was Shadowless Green Wing Charizard booster boxes, because if you do have first edition booster boxes that have the clear cellophane wrap, and then the shadowless boxes, a lot of them also did have the clear cellophane wrap. And any of those green wing Charizard boxes that had the clear cellophane wrap were like guaranteed to be shadowless, and then all the ones that didn't have that clear cellophane weren't guaranteed to be shadowless. So those were the ones he talked about. But it was very interesting. He talked about blister packs and how he resealed blister packs. Now, I've told you in a video before, I think if you go back to like the video I talk about with old school Pokemon when he was on here, I talked to him how I had a blister and it was a shadowless blister and that front piece fell right off. Everything he was saying to me sounded like 100% truth. And that was like the thing a lot of people didn't take from. A lot of people listened to him talk and heard him explain to Rattle like how he's resealed things in the past, how he went about it, how he talked about why somebody would be stupid to try to sell this stuff on eBay because it's so easy for the buyer to get their money back, and how he talked like if he was going to do purchases, he would do them in person and all this stuff. And a lot of people were like, definitely went hard on him, which you should, because he was a scammer, and that's what he would, doing for a long term was scamming people, resealing packs, resealing blister packs. And he talked about how he figured out how to reseal those blisters, and he talked like the different levels of them. Some of the glue is really good on those, some of them are really bad. He talked about trying to use like, an X-Acto knife and stuff like that and failing at stuff like that. But the most important thing he said, and the thing that I think you should take most out of that video, and if you really listen to it, if you listen to when was he doing that, he was reselling those blisters, reselling those packs in like the 2016, 2017 timeline. And the reason why I say that is the most important thing you should have took out of that video is because you can now go back on my channel, and I've probably made close to a dozen videos talking about the potentials of resale product coming down in the future. I talked about how there's going to be a fifth category, how everyone talks about like the scalper, the flipper, the collector, the investor. And I talked in one of my oldest videos that there's going to be a fifth category. It's a scammer. And we're still just going into the start of that. And he like showed that that's been going on for 5 years. And you'll hear a lot of people say stuff like, well, I picked up my, booster pack, or I picked up, my blister, in 2017, before all the Pokemon hype, or 2016, before all the Pokemon hype, when that's not really true, because obviously 2016 being the Pokemon Go boom, we still had hype there. But people think, oh, just because I've been holding on to this product for the last 5 years, there's no way that it's fake. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, in the future, more and more product is going to come out as being resealed. And it's something that I've tried now on so many different videos, so many different talks, so many different conversations to let you guys know that is a serious issue that is going to come down the line. And I know what everybody's thinking. Everybody's thinking, well, everyone will just know this product is resealed after they open it. And I'm going to say that that is the wrong way to think about it. And everybody's going to be like, what do you mean? Once they open that pack, they're going to realize that the contents inside are not legit. Yeah, when you see like a Logan Paul sealed case being opened and you see it being G.I. Joe cards in it, yes, of course, like that is the obvious stuff. The problem is, and the problem that's going to be going on in the future and people will never know happens, is people will pick up a loose pack that will be resealed and they won't know it. And then maybe they'll have some inklings down the line, or somebody will look at that pack and they're going to say, you know what? There's something fishy about this pack. You should really open this pack and check to find out. And maybe they'll weigh it and they'll find out that that pack is light. And they'll say, well, yeah, the weights are off. Let me open it. And guess what? That pack is going to have all base set unlimited cards in it if it's a base set pack, or it's going to have shadowless cards in it if it's a shadowless pack, and it's probably going to have first edition cards in it if it's a first edition pack. And everybody's going to hear that and say, well, what do you mean? Why would somebody reseal a shadowless pack with shadowless, or an unlimited pack with unlimited cards, or a first edition pack with, first edition cards? And the reason why they do that is because it can never really get back to them. And the reason why I say it can never get back to that resealer is because they're just going to say, sorry, man, I sold you a light pack. Because I want you to think about it right now. What is the price of a sealed, unopened, shadowless, loose pack? It's probably like over $1,000. What's the price of a sealed first edition pack? It's probably over $3,000. Now, if you were to take, say, an Imposter Professor Oak, both for, first edition or shadowless, and then the rest shadowless cards, you put them in the exact order, including energies, you're talking price for the actual cards in that pack at near mint. So we're talking 8 or better, which is mainly a lot of bulk cards. Those cards in those packs maybe have a street value of, I don't know, let's just say $4 or $5. So somebody could be out there buying a resealed shadowless pack with $5 worth of shadowless near mint stuff inside of it that is in the exact same order, that just has like an Imposter Professor Oak, or a Clefairy doll, or a Lass, or a Pokemon Trader, or any of the other non-holo rares in that set. And they're going to open that and they're just going to say, I never should have opened this pack. Or the same thing with first edition. There's a lot of first edition bulk out there that you can probably get a bunch of those and put it in a pack and resale it for $3,000. So this is the things that I tell you guys you need to be most conscious of and most understanding of in the future, especially when you pick up packs, when you buy stuff. And I thought TCA, if you go back to his most recent video, literally like the day of recording this, he made a video talking about a first edition blister pack he got. He compared it to the two he got from Old School Pokemon. Old School Pokemon had bought his from PokeRev. When PokeRev opened his case, he talked about like, he looked at the plastic. He talked about like the like a square glue pattern in there, stuff like that. That is all very important stuff for you to listen to. Because anytime you're going to learn how to identify stuff like this, it's sometimes impossible to identify it if you don't already own one of those. Now, this is the thing too, is when you hear like, TCA Gaming talking about that like checker pattern glue. The thing is not all those blister packs had those either. That is very exclusive to like some of the earlier stuff. So some of the later stuff actually doesn't. Some of the stuff that falls off doesn't. But like these are things you have to listen to, things you have to find out. When he was talking about the crimps, how some people see those little air holes in it on the sides and they think that that means they're resealed. And he talks about how that is actually a good thing, because somebody that's going to reseal that pack isn't going to leave those little air holes open on the sides. They're going to seal those, either whether it's with heat or with glue. And things that like this are important for you to understand to become better, especially when it comes to the sealed product game. And this is something I've tried to express and tried to put out in so many different videos. And sometimes I'll make a video where I'll reseal like a Evolving Skies pack and throw the Jose Canseco card in it. And it's always funny that the comment I'll get on that video, it's like almost always, it's like no one would ever reseal Evolving Skies pack. And it's like, well, you missed the point of this video. The point I'm trying to make is that you need to just understand that while you're watching something on the screen, while everything looks legit, it's not. It's always shady. Just like when I had that pack and I resealed the bottom and I pushed those cards out, you know, understanding like what PSA pack graders were looking for and how they would do that if it was a weak reseal. And I showed you guys on that video. This is all stuff that I want you to understand. Things that you can use, like tools you can use for identifying stuff. And I've made videos like this in the past and always give you guys the warnings. Now, I think this is the dangerous part too, right? The dangerous part is now everybody's going to look at every single pack, every single blister, every single booster box, everything they own, and they're just going to now question everything, which maybe that's not a 100% bad thing to start questioning the stuff you own, but I don't want people to now think that everything is fake, because that's not the case. When you do like more of the educational side videos, it's to teach people and to explain them. Now, that was the thing I found very fascinating with Rattle's video and the comment section and the live chat. I was, pretty busy while that was going on, so I wasn't able to watch the live chat like going on. But it was interesting. Everybody was saying like, "Oh, all this guy is doing is just like incriminating himself and all this stuff," which maybe that's right to a sense, but everybody was missing the point. That guy had already been arrested for doing that. For, whatever double jeopardy laws Canada has and stuff, like he's already been arrested. All his product has been taken away, so he says. And if you listen to him on that video, whether or not he is in fact still reselling product, still, making fake stuff, which I would say, my opinion, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I would say that there is a chance that he's still doing that, whether or not he said that. But if you listen to his words, he was very clear multiple times throughout that conversation that he was no longer doing it. And I think people were, and this makes me nervous too, is people listening to a guy who is a known scammer, known reseller, who had been doing it for years and was doing it on a very high level. And you heard Rattle, you heard the names he was talking about, like Gem Mint Pokemon and stuff like this. Gem Mint Pokemon being a guy who probably is in the top 1% of all collectors out there, who has seen enough product, can identify fakes, identify reseals, identify sketchy stuff, will not be duped, will not be scammed. Guys like him still were able to get scammed by him. So and this is what makes me nervous, is listening to everyone listening to him and taking their own narrative from what he was saying, and not just sitting back and listening and saying, this guy is literally giving me a step by step of what to look out for the way he was reselling packs. Now, one of the things he talked about, which is, probably like the poorer way to resale packs, is he talked about like clear crazy glue, how he would do, and he talked about opening a perfect pack, and that is definitely what you would have to do the resale. He talks about opening perfect packs, but he talks about putting glue on the crimps, which if you listen to him, he told you exactly what you need to look out for his resales, to identify stuff that Pokey Butler might have done in the past, talking about how his crimps, because of the way the super glue dries, the super glue dries very hard. It becomes very rough, very rigid. But if you listen to him, the way he resealed his blister packs, he didn't use crazy glue. So like if you watch the video I sent to Rattle, where I sent a resealed blister pack for him to identify, he was able to identify my resealed blister through the crunchiness. Now, what the other guy said was he used a glue stick. And by using a glue stick, it's not the same sort of crunchiness. Like, but if you're going to learn and like continue to grow, these are things you need to learn. These are things you need to identify. And like, this is the thing. This is the stuff that very, very, very few people talk about, because it's something that people don't even want to touch. Because once you hear like, you know, learn how to reseal so you never get duped. And people are always like, what are you talking about? Tell somebody to learn how to reseal stuff, and it's bad, but it's the only way you could figure out what to look for. And he talked about gluing packs and cutting the tops with, and if you could go back and listen to the conversation he had with Rattle, he talked about the glue coming out the top and talked about using scissors and stuff, which it makes me know that he did a lot of reseals, because one of the ways to identify a resealed pack is when you put that crimp next to each other. More times than not, there is a very little bit, it's almost impossible to line up packs perfectly and have the crimps touching. You'll get like either the back side or the front side will be up a little bit. And that is a real old tactic people use, to just use scissors to cut that pack so it looks like a perfect cut from the factory. But these are things you need to listen to. But the thing about those is if you don't have long enough scissors, sometimes you have to do double cuts and shit on this stuff. So sometimes that crimp could have like a dip or a wave to it, and they're not like perfectly straight. Stuff like this is stuff that people need to learn. But this is again the problem. Everybody's going to hear this and it's going to be like, you're just giving a how, like a TED talk on how to reseal stuff. No, what I'm trying to do is just give you guys like the tools, and to I mean, I can't promise, but I'm going to tell you, as this hobby grows, the scammers will continue to flood in, the resellers will continue to flood in, and you can go on eBay right now. And in fact, I see it daily. And I follow a lot of packs, I follow a lot of blister packs. Almost daily, I see something that I think is either questionably resealed or fake. But the resealed questionable ones I find all the time, and I follow a lot of these sellers, and it's like, well, why don't you just report them all to eBay? That's the thing. I can't report them to eBay because I'm not the ones buying these products that I'm seeing continuously be sold, things that I think are very questionable. And I can't even see the buyers of it. So it's not like I can go out and message the buyers. And just in the last year, in the last 365 days, there are multiple accounts that I know of that grew, that had like 0 feedback scores, and they eventually grew to like 30, 40, 50 feedback scores just selling resale product on eBay. And this is a crazy thing, is I watch these, I follow these accounts because I'm like, eventually somebody is going to report this account, and eventually this guy is going to get some sort of negative feedback where somebody eventually, given enough time, is going to put a negative review like, I bought this pack, I'm questioning its authenticity, it looks resealed. But that's not what I'm seeing. This is the scary thing. Those accounts that I'm watching their like good feedback score continue to go up, positive reviews, people that are very happy picking up this product. And this is a crazy thing. A lot of these people, a lot of these accounts I watch, people get happy because these products are selling so far below market price. And the thing too is, you could almost go back to Rattle's video and that very original sale for that sealed case, how it sold for $72,000 on eBay Canada. The reason that it sold for that little amount of money is because nobody would touch that product, because everybody had their questions about it. Even if they didn't know 100% and didn't do all the due diligence Rattle did later on to identify that box being fake. But people wouldn't touch it because they question it. Now, these guys I'm seeing continuously, like seal after seal, sell questionable things on eBay, their prices started off really low, meaning their product was selling for like rock bottom, almost like, free prices. I was watching some of these earlier sellers selling shadowless packs in blisters for like $300-400 because nobody would touch them. But sadly, given enough time, they just continue to get like this positive feedback because all the freaking they're just fools or people that don't understand what they're doing are we're buying it up and leaving good feedback. So then what happened? All their freaking sales continued to go up. So for these like obviously, questionable resealed blisters and packs, their prices, his recent sales just started going up and up because you know what people were doing? They were going on his feedback. They were clicking on recent sales and they were looking and they're like, oh, this guy left a positive review. They would click on it and it would be that exact pack or a very similar sort of pack. So that's what they were doing. They're like, oh, well, he's now sold 20 of these to all these people. And they'll look at the feedback scores of all the buyers, and all the buyers' feedback scores are varying between like a 5 and 30, but there's like 15 different scores, so it is actually 15 different buyers, but all those buyers were buying fake stuff and didn't know it, and probably weren't opening it, and probably bought it because everybody in 2021 and 2022, everybody is now a sealed product collector. And but now this is the thing. This is the dangerous thing. These people don't know, probably will never know. These people will eventually have this be part of their collection. And they're going to look back and say, no, and now the newer people, I should say. So you have all the guys that bought resealed packs at the beginning, then they gave all this good feedback and made this guy a reputable seller somehow overnight on eBay. Then all the people that maybe have a little bit more knowledge still don't open their pack because they're like, well, the guy I bought it from had sold 10 in the last year and they were all positive feedback. So now they start to think their stuff is real, and it just continues this snowball avalanche. And this is just one example of one person I've been watching on eBay. So let me ask you a question. If that's an example of one person on eBay, how many people are doing exactly the same thing? And that's the thing too, is when this person gets caught or this person eventually gets found out, how are you going to prove it? How are you going to prove that the packs he sold were in fact resealed? Because I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this guy is probably making all these packs light, doing exactly what I explained at the beginning of this video, taking a shadowless pack, taking a bunch of shadowless bulk, put them in the right order with an Apostrophe Professor O or a last or a Pokemon Trader or a Clefairy Doll as the rare, and selling these shadowless packs for 6, 7, 8, 9. Like the prices for these packs are stupid right now. So when he sells an obviously resealed, repacked, shadowless pack for $1,000, and somebody messages him and says, hey, I think this pack was resealed, and he's going to message him back. He's going to have so much balls by this point because his feedback score is out of control. He's going to say, well, what was in the pack? What was it resealed with? And somebody's going to respond, well, it was resealed with exactly what was supposed to be in there. And the guy's going to be like, well, sorry, it just sounds like you have really bad luck. And it's going to be almost impossible for people to fight this stuff. And that's the stuff you got to learn. This is real life. This is true life. This is what's happening right now in the Pokemon hobby. Now, this is the stuff I've talked about forever now. But the more important thing, what do you got to take out of this? Am I doing this just to scare you, to make you think that everybody's a scammer? No. But it goes back to the most fundamental possible thing I can say. You need to buy from reputable sellers in this hobby. It's that simple. And you say, well, you look at reputable sellers and you say, well, when I want to go buy a pack from a reputable seller, that pack usually sells at like a 10 or a 20% premium on every other sold pack on eBay or every other sold pack. It's like, well, now this comes to the point where I always tell you should probably try to find the best deal. But sometimes you need to look at that 10 or 20% premium you have to pay to buy from a reputable seller and understand that there is a reason why you're paying that premium. And now, I'm not going to tell you like who the reputable sellers are out there or not, but I'm sure you can take guesses on who these people are. But these are the people you should be buying packs from. But you, as the listener of this video, you will just be a very small minority of this hobby. The greater majority of this hobby are the people that just don't know what they're doing, or they shouldn't be buying this stuff in the first place. And sure, you can go on and you could watch videos, and you could watch a video that I do and I'll talk about it, but they're going to look at their packs and they're not even going to really know. And the most dangerous part, the scariest part, is a good resale. You can't tell. And a lot of people are going to hear that and they're going to say, how is that possible? And I talked about it, how I think that PSA has graded resale packs in the past. And I think that PSA is probably going to eventually stop grading packs in general until they could figure out a new system. Now, that hasn't really happened yet, but it's definitely coming down the line. And I think the reason why is because PSA will start to understand that this stuff is happening. But again, the good resellers are going to put real cards in this stuff. And there's been some people out there that are big PokeTubers that I almost know for a fact have opened up resale product on some of their streams. And it wasn't like cracking PSA slabs, but it was opening a lot of packs that I know that they had recently bought during the hype. And those packs, even during their openings, were still very questionable. And I wish I could think of their names. I'm sure you guys could. They're like sports cards guys now. They don't really open a lot of Pokemon stuff anymore. I forget their names, but I have a feeling some of the older videos I watched of them, especially some of like they were opening a lot of like base set 2 packs and stuff, which some of the crimson stuff when they were opening these packs real time looked very questionable. But I don't know where like the sellers of those were from. But like these are just things I want you to think about. I'm not saying all this stuff to scare you. And some people are gonna take their own opinions of videos like this, and it's gonna be like, well, you just have your tinfoil hat on, you think everything's a scam, everything. It's like, no, not everything's a scam. But there's just this small subset. And if you listen to that guy Rattle talk to, and the only thing you were able to pull out of the conversation with him was just that he was a reseller and that he got caught by the cops, and you missed all the points where he talked about that he was doing that stuff in 2016, 17, that he was doing it with hundreds of packs. The fact that he hasn't tracked down everyone, that most people still have that stuff. The fact that he was doing it with booster boxes, the fact that he was doing it with packs, the fact that he knew how to do it with like the shadowless blisters that fell apart, the part where he talked about like exactly what he did, that he used a clear glue stick on the packs, the fact that you missed that he said he used clear super glue on the top crimps and that you could feel his were like extra tough. And if you missed all that, and all you heard in that conversation with Rattle was that this guy was just like a huge scam artist, and you just ignored all the facts and all the things that will help you and be beneficial for you, I can't help you. Channels like this can't help you, because eventually you are just going to always hear what you want to hear. And you're just going to always like demonize people, which is the first thing you should do with a guy like that, is demonize him. But the fact that you don't listen, that you don't like absorb anything that he's saying, and yeah, what he was doing was very ballsy. But I think a lot of it was ballsy is because of the fact that I said a little while ago, the fact that he was already arrested for that. And it's like almost double jeopardy at this point, that he can now come out and just say, I was doing this to all these packs for all this time. And there's probably still a lot of them out there. And yeah, he talked about like the guy from the Netherlands. The Netherlands guy is very famous for reselling stuff. He talked about all the stuff that was coming out of like Quebec, and all the stuff that was coming out of Montreal and stuff, because he's a Canadian guy, but he was talking about all that stuff. That stuff was all a huge issue. Like that was big issues for a long time. And the thing too is he talked about the shadowless blisters falling apart, but then TCA in his last video, he also reminded everybody of the other ones. There's the jungle ones that fall off. There's the fossil ones that fall off, and the Neogenesis ones are freaking famous for falling off. Like, Do you listen to when, like TCA tells you guys, like, these things fall off? These were the ones they fell off. They were notorious for falling off. Do you listen to that stuff? Do you absorb that information when people are telling you exactly what to be worried about? But yeah, that's a long-winded rant, and I'm sure a lot of people, yeah. So I there's a lot going on in the chat, but I know I go off on a tangent, and people don't want to hear it, and it'll probably never be like a good way to like warn people about this, and it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better in the hobby. Like, the more money that goes and gets pumped into the hobby, the more money doesn't cause less of this to happen. The more money causes more of this stuff to happen. It's going to bring out the worst of the worst of the worst in people. And now you could do one of two things. You could hide under a rock. You could put your fingers in your ears, and you could pretend like none of this stuff happens. And if you don't buy this product at all, if you're not in the vintage product, if you're not in the sealed product route, if you don't, buy stuff from like questionable pack breakers, if you don't buy stuff from questionable sellers, all this stuff probably doesn't matter to you. But now, if you are somebody out there that is in the vintage product game, that is in individual packs, that you're a pack collector, that you want one of each pack work, that you buy from box breakers on Twitch or freaking Instagram, and all you're seeing is the pack behind a camera, and you've seen now how many of my videos where I'm opening packs right in front of you on camera, and I even go like 12 steps, past what a lot of these Twitch breakers and Instagram breakers do, and I show you the crimp, and I say, look at this crimp very carefully. Look at it. Do you see anything wrong with it? And almost never does anybody say they see anything wrong with it. But I'm actually pushing it in front of the camera and making you look at it. Think about all these guys that are breaking packs and are just pulling it out of a box, or the box is off screen, or the pack is off screen, and they're pulling it, and then they put it there. You only see the front of it, and it's just as fast as they can open it. This is, again, just a small subset of people in the hobby. But if you're going to be the guy that's going to go down that more dangerous route, like, please go down that route with as much knowledge as you could possibly obtain. So next thing I want to talk about is big change of subject. CGC now offers subgrades for free on their perfect tens. Can I please? Is there anybody out there who is not new to this channel and cannot say that I get to take a little bit of credit for that? Because I'm going to ask you this, and you could give me your honest answer. Is there anybody out there in at least the YouTube sphere that was more critical of CGC first of all, as critical as me, and for as long as I was critical for CGC? And one of the things that I'm pretty sure I brought to most people's attention was the fact that the CGC perfect tens were hidden behind a paywall. Seeing how I mentioned that in probably close to 20 plus videos. And I kind of went off on many, well, not many, but almost every single video I ever made, and somehow wound up on me talking down about CGC and being very critical for them. Now, I want you guys to tell me, is there anybody out there that you can think of who was more critical than me, and or talked about the fact that they didn't give out perfect tens because they were behind a paywall as much as me? And I'm going to look down at the chat, and if you guys think of somebody, please let me know who that person was who was more critical and mention that fact more than me. Because Cheval says he senses an ego inflating. Oh, touche. But I definitely said that a lot. Let's see. Echo called out Squeaks earlier. CGC membership canceled. So, well, you talked about CGC membership. Did you guys notice that PSA just reopened up their membership tiers? Now, If you guys don't know, you were still able to like submit cards to PSA if you were not a member. But now that they've reopened their membership tiers, so like PSA, it looks like, and don't quote me on this, but it looks like they're going to do a lot of those lottery systems, at least moving into opening up their newer tiers. And I think the next one is tomorrow or next, I think it's either tomorrow, yeah, the 20th. So tomorrow there is also going to be like another lottery where you're going to be able to get 5 grading spots for $50 a card, assuming you have that membership. And I think the silver tier membership is like $99 a year. So I think that's how they're going to roll out these tiers a little bit more. And if you go on PSA's Twitter account, there's an entire list of dates of all those times they're going to roll out. But if you guys are graders, or if you do grade a lot with PSA, like, and you've always like not had that membership in the past, now it's probably your opportunity if you plan to grade a lot of cards that you think might, be worth it at that $50 grading tier or stuff like that. Because I think you get 5, so it's gonna be interesting. So Pac-Man said they must have had a meeting. Pokeknowledge has called us out again. We must respond. I don't know. I think I had a little bit to do with it. Because in their thing, they pretty much said like due to like strong feedback or whatever from the community. And I don't think anybody was stronger with the feedback. In fact, some people called me out and told me to stop being so critical on CGC on multiple occasions. But all right. So I went off on a long-winded. Holy crap! This video has been going on for like 36 and a half minutes. If you guys have any questions that you want answered, now's your time. Put them at the bottom. If you want to be critical, now's your time. Put them at the bottom because I'm actually gonna able to read everything. Cheval said he received a 92 slab submission from CGC today. They all have damage on the slabs. Rock Pokemon told me they'll reslab them for free. Sucks he'll have to resend them. Yeah, Cheval is reaching me out, and I don't want to blow up Cheval's spot, but he actually did get 110. So I won't say what card it is. Knowledge, you had me question my DoorDash from Taco Bell now. Those burritos look resealed. Yeah, be careful about that. You guys are funny. So Pac-Man says he has 116 graded slabs coming anytime from PSA. That'll be nice. PSA, a lot of these slabs are still coming back for a lot of people. It's going to be interesting what the market does. I'm already seeing like some real strong withdrawals on some of like the more bulkier stuff, like that stuff that's wasn't a matter of if that price was going to go down, it's just a matter of when. And I think it was like ironic that if you guys follow PokeRev, like he literally made like the most quintessential bulk slab submission that ever existed in like history. I want to say he had like Shine and Legend promos, Hidden Fates Charizard promos, like Raichu Hidden Fates promos, and then like the Charizard V promos from Champions Path. Like it was the quintessential like bulk slab return. And he was throwing up prices for like PSA 9s and 10s. And I'm like, oh man, there's no way any of these prices are true. But it is funny though, too. Like I talked about his Hidden Fates box and how I talked about how Cool Trainer Ryan was selling it. And PokeReb for his EX Hidden Legends just sold packs for like $2.99 a piece. And that works out, for 36 packs at $300 a pack works out to be like $10,600. And Cool Trainer Ryan, his booster box that I had been filing, he actually dropped it in price. It's now down to $6,000. So it's pretty funny that PokeRev made on his last booster box break, $4,600. And again, that's assuming he paid the price that no one else is willing to pay. He probably got it for even less. So that means he made over $5,000 just on Tuesday opening up that EX Hidden Legend pack. And then he has one of the, I think it's like Gym Challenge First Edition or something he's opening next. It's just like, that dude just he just prints money. Jealous? Maybe. But just warn you guys, like, don't pay that much money for some of this stuff. Dougie Fresh says he has 1,000 CGC cards, 110. I have hundreds of CGC cards and 0 10s. plenty of 9.5s that are always like a half subgrade off. You have like two 9.5s and two 10s. That's how they get you. So Dougie Fresh said, he said it in your chat, but what's the point of a perfect 10? It's just that, but with free subs should come for the pristine 10. So I understand what he's saying is that for the pristine 10, one of those subgrades is not going to be a 10. So by them also not putting subgrades on a pristine 10, I guess it would bring up the question of, well, what was wrong with it? Was it the centering? Was it the edges? Was it the cornering? Was it the surface? And with that thought process in mind, that people would never know like what actually deducted their pristine from being a perfect, assuming that there's not subgrades, like, yeah, I could understand what Dougie Fresh's, comment right there meant. And maybe they'll do that, but I don't know. I think it was a pretty big step for them to actually give out perfect 10 grades for free. So that'll be interesting. But I don't know. So Professor Oak is talking about his PSA submission right now in the chat, and he said he submitted his, I'm guessing it's his bulk submission in November 2020, just got it back. Professor Oak actually has his own channel now. I recommend you guys going out and watching that. Professor Oak said, Poke Knowledge, how do we think sealed grades will be handled by PSA now? Who will take over? So this is the thing that I've thought about, and this brings up a good question. Who will take over? So I do not believe personally that resealed packs at PSA do not have the cards in the pack that they're supposed to. And I already talked about that earlier in the video, that the shadowless packs have shadowless cards. First edition, there's just no hollows. They're all PSA 8. They're all binder cards. They're light play, maybe not light play. They're near mint, but they're like 8s, very noticeable. They're not PSA 10s for any of these cards. Now, the thing about that too is I've thought about it. If somebody were to send a pack to PSA, resealed with cards in it, now, I don't think anyone would be that dumb. And the reason why I said I don't think anybody would be that dumb, because, like, let's just say in a hypothetical situation, which I wouldn't do this because of the reason I'm going to give you is, let's say I took an energy card and I saw, and in black Sharpie on that energy card, I wrote, subscribe to Poke Knowledge Cards, and hit that like button, which we only have 15 likes in this video right now. If you guys could please hit that like button. I'm joking. But let's just say I wrote that on an energy card in black Sharpie, right? And I put that in a pack and I resealed it, sent it to PSA. PSA graded that pack, put it in a slab. Then I took that slab, showed it off on my channel. I said, hey guys, watch this. I crack it open. Or let's just say maybe I send it to another content creator. Maybe I send it to Rattle because he's pretty harsh on PSA right now. Let's just say I sent that slab to Rattle. I said, Rattle, do me a favor. Open this slab on your channel, crack open the slab, and he cracks it open, and he gets to that energy card and it says, subscribe to Poke Knowledge Cards and hit that like button. Even though I would have done that in like a more educational factor, I feel like I would still open myself up for a lot of like liability, a lot of fraud. Probably the first thing's going to happen is PSA is going to see that cert number, or they're going to find the pack, or they're going to find out, who I am, and they're going to, cancel my account. They're going to probably send back all the cards that I currently have at PSA. They're probably going to hit me with a lawsuit. I'm probably going to get like a knock on the door and, have some U.S. Marshal out there telling me I've been served. Like, because I feel like if I were to do that, which some people have suggested, that is like me committing fraud. Because even though I would be doing it in an entertainment way and like signing a card inside of it, like, I think I would open myself up to so much liability that I would never like do that. Now, that's just like my personal thought process on that, is that anybody who does do that is really going to be playing with fire. And I would not want to go against like PSA lawyers. and they're going to be able to like track that cert number down, or they're going to be able to track down, like, even if you were to block out the cert number, they're going to be able to like somehow track down that that pack was graded in a certain window of time, and they'll be able to figure out like who you are somehow, or they'll send out private investigators to like track you down as a person. Like, I would be very cautious for anybody out there thinking about doing that. It's just my thought process. And I think it would be like one of those videos that would kind of like break the internet temporarily, where people would watch that and be like, holy cow, and it would probably go viral. But trust me, to go viral for, let's just say that video like got 10,000 or 20,000 views, to go viral for 20,000 views and get sued by like an army of PSA lawyers and get hit with fraud and stuff like that, like, I would not do that, because I'm pretty sure, I haven't read PSA's terms of service, but I'm pretty sure there's like some line in there that if you're like openly committing fraud, which that's what you would be doing by resealing a pack and sending it to PSA, like, I don't know, that's not a game I would want to play. Now, I feel like you could try to like, nah, you wouldn't be able, if you did it, if you did it knowing you were doing it, you would probably get in trouble. Now, that's just my personal opinion. Uh, Basic Trainer said, is opening my packs to check if they are legit and resealed from. Oh, okay, I see what he did there. He said, is opening his packs, checking to make sure they're legit, then resealing those packs. Is that frowned upon? Yes, Basic Trainer. That is slightly frowned upon. It's like opening up your packs and being like, oh, green code card? Well, I'll close that right back up. Yeah, don't do that stuff. Uh, So Chief Kane talking about the PSA, he said he thinks they're running the $50 tomorrow, but I don't know. That's what I hear. I'll just get it set up when it opens up officially. Yeah. So if you go on PSA's Instagram account, like, their last post shows all the times, but I think it is tomorrow. But it is like that lotto system where you're going to have to like, I think they have like a waiting room. You got to go into the waiting room. There's like an hour wait time before you even could go in. It's like a huge process. Hopefully it's not like impossible to get those, but speaking of which, like, I already sent my my most recent submission. It wasn't a lot of cards, but for like that $100 tier, and it's already in like stage 7 of grading. It went super fast. And for the $100 grading tiers, they were saying suggested turnaround time was like 3 months. And they're already, I think they just got my packs like a week or two ago. Like, it was light speed how fast it went through all those stages. And in fact, like, when it goes past a certain stage, like, PSA sends you an email, and I got that email, and I thought that email was for like one of my older submissions, and I was like, oh, sweet. And then I went and checked my PSA account to see exactly which submission they were talking about, and it was like my newest one. I was like blown away. I was shocked by that. So PSA says that right now, like 80% of their like workforce or manpower is going to clearing up the backlog. But how fast they graded this $100 tier, like, it makes me think that maybe that 80% of their workforce is not really all going to, you know, trying to like speed up that backlog. I'm afraid that a lot of that 80%, that it's probably like 70 or 60% trying to eat up that backlog. Especially the fact that they're all the way still, if like basic Professor Oak said, is November submissions. I don't even know if you guys know where like the Ludkin submissions are at, or Graded Gem, any of those like bigger third-party graders. Like, where are their submissions at right now for returns? Are they in November? I know the Graded Gem one sounded like it was a real weird submission. Like, all theirs came back at one time, almost as if all the Graded Gem submissions were like kept separately than everybody else's. Like, somebody explained it pretty weird. Let's see. Cheval said, basic trainer, I'm not surprised. Saw TCG thumbnail, like he's including those in his pack breaks. Are the cards even good looking? Still waiting on my graded gem submissions from November 2020. Oh, okay. So I thought the graded gem submissions were a little bit past that 2020 timeline. I didn't know that they were that far back from November, but I'm going to guess that your submissions might already be done. I know there's a chance. Basic Trainer said, I don't know. I brought them to hand out at Leonhardt's Pop Shop. I wonder what he's talking about. Ancient Muse said, knowledge. Thanks for the Brilliant Stars link today. Yeah. So that Brilliant Stars, if you don't know what Ancient Muse is talking about, is I shared the Pokemon Center link for Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs for Brilliant Stars. I want to say that that pre-order link is potentially still up. Like that thing has been up forever. Now, if you guys follow Joe, so Echo Base Collectibles, he had just recently put out kind of like a rant video, and one of the things he said was that his distributor told him Brilliant Stars was print to demand, and then his allocations weren't even close to that. Like he didn't get much of anything that he asked for. But seeing these pre-orders up at the Pokemon Center, like there's a part of me thinks that maybe these Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs are potentially print to order. If not print to order, they're like a huge timeline, or they have at least like exploded the allocations for these things, because the fact that they're still up after 24 plus hours, like you guys could take a guess of how many of those things probably sold, but I'm going to guess that those, is a stupid amount. So there's actually a chance that a lot of ETBs don't sell because everyone will have gotten their fill on Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs. Now, I saw a real weird comment on that. Somebody was like, I'm not going to spend $5 per pack. And it was like, well, yeah, but do you know that's like kind of the price for all ETBs? Like, I didn't think the prices were that crazy. But I understand if somebody's talking about just paying the least possible price per pack, it would make sense. But I had never saw anybody like refer to a ETB and then talk about the pack price in the ETB. Like I never look at ETBs and be like, this is the cheapest way I could buy packs. Like I thought that was such a weird comment. Like, trust me, if you guys are thinking you're going to go out and buy an ETB, let's just say a normal ETB with 8 packs in it for $40, and that's the best value, like, please don't do that. Like, buy your booster boxes if you're just looking for the cheapest per pack. Let's see. A Basic Trainer said, through graded gem, he shipped in early December 2020. So Mason Berry says he never heard Brilliant Stars was print to demand, but not sure where he got that info. Yeah, I don't know. I saw it on his video, and I don't have distributor agreements. But if Mason's saying he didn't hear that, maybe that's not true, and maybe Joe either misheard somebody or got false information. But it would be interesting if they did. Let's just say they did make Brilliant Stars print to demand, though. Let's just say hypothetically, like that would be one of those sets that you could potentially in the future have like this real weird equilibrium kind of thing where there'll be a ton of that product out there, but at the same time, like even though there's a ton of that product out there, it's going to have like monster chase cards in it. It's going to have multiple Charizards. It's going to have character rares. It's going to have like good secret rares. It's going to have like a lot going for it. So that would be one of those like great products to like have discussions on 5-year timelines where where's that going to be. And all modern product is tough right now, right? Like any modern conversation you're going to have is almost impossible. So, but that would be like the next step, harder conversation to have. It's pretty interesting, like watching some of the, this big Pokemon, crash going on. I'm watching some of these booster box prices, like start to slowly creep up. Chill and Rain, wink, wink. Battle Styles, wink, wink. Like, yeah, they're still very low, but keep in mind, like, there's a lot of that stuff out there. So every time we see like a $5 or $10 like price increase for some of these, especially when you're looking at like an $80 booster box and it goes up $5 or it goes up $10 percentage wise, those are huge jumps. Think about an $80 booster box increasing $10 in the matter of a month. Like that is huge leaps and bounds. Now, this is the thing everybody's going to pile in and be like, I can't believe you're still talking about like ballast styles and chill and rain as being investable in the future. But like, that is an interesting like conversation to start having, because when you talk about just on percentage basis for chill and rain, the lowest I was able to pick it up for was $79.95. The lowest, like Jake from Pokenomics, he actually has the lowest price of anybody I heard of. He said he picked it up for like $73. But for that booster box to be selling now at like 85, that's a pretty substantial like percentage increase in a super short amount of time. Now, this is the thing. There's no way those percentage increases are sustainable in the long term. Like, I don't see booster boxes like that continuously creeping up $5 here and there, like month after month. I think it might be a little bit slower than that. But man, some of these booster boxes can hit like, let's say a chill and rain booster box by the end of the year could hit $100. Holy crap. From $80 to $100, that would be a 25% price increase in the matter of a year on a super, super modern product. That would be one of those things people will talk about like as just one of the more amazing things. Like, in order for this hobby to truly be in a downturn and the bubble to pop and moderns crashing, like that booster box cannot hit $100 for any of those conversations, any of those arguments that have any sort of validity to it. Because I'll tell you right now, if you make 25% on your investment in 1 year, that is outpacing the S&P 500 by like double. That means you double the, like the average returns at S&P 500 if that booster box makes it to $100 by the end of 2022. And that would just put a big, big kibosh to anyone saying that modern is not investable. So, but then that's just going to go back to price points, buying at the lows, which this is the funny thing about chill and rain. Everyone says you cannot time the highs of highs and you cannot time the lows of lows. But I feel like chill and rain was one of those products that you could argue you were able to actually time the low of lows. I literally made a video on this channel, and the title of the video was, As I Walk Through the Valley of the Shadow of the $79.95 booster boxes, I Fear No Evil. That was the entire like title of that video. And a lot of people said like some of these prices were really good, especially when you were looking at like distributor pricing. People could pick stuff up. Again, I was only able to pick up for 80, but like a Jake was able to pick it up for 73. I don't know. Like, that's going to put a real weird wrench in everybody's arguments. So it'll be interesting. We'll see where that one plays out. But yeah. But no, guys, this is a good stream. What else do I want to talk about today? I think I added something important I wanted to talk about. We talked about Rattle's video. We talked about CGC. We talked about resale packs. Oh, well, I guess I don't know if you want to talk about the video I made where I showed exactly what PSA was doing, how they pushed out those cards out the bottom crimp. It is interesting now. We're kind of getting a little bit of like a behind the scenes of how the PSA pack grading works, or how they, maybe not like the scoring, like the difference between a PSA 9 versus a PSA 10 for a pack grading grade. But we are getting a little bit of the behind the scenes of what are they looking at. Now, I think it's important that PSA doesn't give out all their, tips and tactics of what they're doing, because I think if they make it super transparent, like people will just be able to reverse engineer everything they're looking for and make sure that they can identify stuff. So I can understand maybe why they wouldn't want to do that. But after you see what happened with like the BBC and that sealed case, like if I was them, I wouldn't want to like put my name or authenticate anything at this point. Like, I would want to run for the high hills, because I feel like they're just opening themselves up for like so much liability in the long term. And I talked about this before, like the average collector will not like know that or will not question that pack graded inside. They won't. The same way I told you that somebody who has a real legit fake card graded by PSA probably would get that card back if PSA didn't notice it, and they would think they just have a real card. But eventually that fake card graded by PSA by accident would eventually make it to the right person who realized it was fake. But in the short term, like there's a very high likelihood that people wouldn't even know. So it's interesting. Good conversation. But I appreciate all you guys tuning in. If you could do me a favor, go down below, hit that like button. I think it's the second time now I asked in this video. Really, really clawing hard for those likes. But no, I appreciate it, guys. Appreciate you guys coming on, giving me your most valuable resource, which is time. And I can never thank you guys enough for doing that. But other than that, I'll catch you on the next video.